Hey guys, Smooth Brain Operator here, talking to whoever's listening out there. Smooth Brain Operator is just the handle I'm using for now. I might go with something different. This is my first video, so we'll just see how it goes. And we are going to be talking about Space Marine chapters today. And one of my all-time favorite Space Marine chapters are a homebrew chapter, one of the newer founding chapters called The Emperor's Hand. It's kind of a fleet-based chapter, and they have a world. They're on the world of Karak, which is unknown where its location is at right now, presumably on one of the farther edges of the known Imperium. They are fleet-based, but also have a world that they recruit from that they're on, and it's also theorized that they have a couple worlds within their area that they not only recruit from, but protect, patrol, and their fleet-based also allows them to be very maneuverable and go reaching further out than the one world or multiple worlds that they kind of support and rule over. The Karak Marines have their symbol is a hand. It looks like just a hand print. If someone like put a paint on their hand and just put it on the armor, that is their symbol. They have a total of 6 chapters, possibly more, and they all answer to the one original chapter. Each chapter, of course, has 1,000 Marines. But since they're relatively new, they don't have a whole lot of resources, so they primarily focus on just Space Marine infantry. Each of the companies within each chapter don't have access to jump packs, Terminator armor, things like that. They're just standard Marines with bolters. So they will utilize and promote problem solving and out of the box thinking, letting their Marines think a little bit more freely in terms of trying to defeat a obstacle or an enemy, because they're only limited to just what your standard Space Marine could have and or carry on his regular armor and just whatever he has. They do have, of course, they have fleets, so they have ships, they have Thunderhawks, and they have Predator tanks where they use those to transport themselves on the battlefield, also providing support and cover fire throughout a variety of different mission types, also maybe the occasional drop pod, and definitely Thunderhawk gunships to support the infantry and whatever they may be doing, the Space Marine infantry on whatever operation they might be on. They all have the same colored armor, a sort of a darkish gray. Luftwaffe gray is the best that I can find that's closest to it. Luftwaffe gray is a different shade of gray, and they have a combination of either, depending on the different chapter that you see, they'll either have a gold handprint on their pauldron. It will be gold or red, green, blue. It just depends, and they all still answer to the one chapter master. Like the Imperial Fist, they kind of have a last wall protocol type rule set up, but they all operate and they all function on the exact same way. There's not one difference from one chapter of these guys to the next. Of the 6 chapters, they all wear the same color scheme except for the hand on the pauldron. They all are doctrinally the same, they all operate the same, they all have the same equipment. They're just trying to spread themselves out further and remain semi-codex compliant, while also taking a little bit of inspiration, if you will, from the Space Wolves, as they are also a technically codex compliant chapter, but at the same time they're not, because they're of their different groups of the different chapters. They all answer to Logan Grimnar if he calls. they kind of have the same setup. So a little bit of Space Wolfy kind of, a little bit of Imperial Fist with the bolters, and they love bolters, but that's also kind of all they have. Also, they don't have access to all kinds of different types of weaponry, since the Imperium currently is stretched pretty thin across the board between Gilliman and his crusade, the Lion returning, Fulgrim returning, all kinds of Chaos Primarchs coming back. It's just everything is stretched thin right now. So they are operating as best as they can with what they have, trying to repair, fix, maintain, and get regular shipments from the Mechanicum of just their standard equipment between bolters, crack grenades, frag grenades, melta bombs, bazookas of sorts, you name it. If a Space Marine can carry it, that's essentially what they're trying to go for. So that way they can work with less, right? Do more with less, or as little as possible. And their main chapter master, you say, well, who do they answer to? Well, the original chapter of the Emperor's Hands have the golden handprint on their pauldron, and they have everything etched into their armor. So it looks plain when you first look at it, but as you look closer, everything's a little bit more etched in instead of layered on, like more 3D. Instead, it's just kind of 2D and just etched onto their armor. And the Emperor's Hands with the golden hands are the original ones that started it, and those are the ones that the main chapter master is over. Now, of course, all the other chapters of the Emperor's Hands have their own chapter master, but they're essentially a glorified battle captain. They are just kind of there to maintain order, and in a absolute blink of an eye, and notice the chapter master of the golden Emperor's Hands, if he puts out the call, they all return instantly, or if he orders them to go elsewhere to do something for the good of the Imperium and the chapter, they will go 100%. They don't see themselves as a chapter master, even though that's what it is on paper. They just see themselves as a high-ranking captain, and they will move forth and go do the Emperor's will wherever the chapter master asks them to go. Chapter master is an interesting... Oh, and their gene seed is unknown, so, or redacted, whichever you'd prefer. It seems to be a bit of both. The chapter master himself is a bit of an interesting character. He's always seen in his armor. Even with the current Primaris Marines, he's still taller and bigger, faster, stronger than the average Primaris Marine. His armor is mastercrafted armor, which is definitely unheard of, to my knowledge at least. Most newer chapter masters don't have mastercrafted armor like this, especially of the Primaris variety. But he does. It is more customized and custom built to his specifications. He's always wearing the armor, always has his helmet on. When he is seen without the armor, he's still quite imposing, but he wears a veil of sorts to cover his head, mainly his face. No one knows why, but he is always wearing this veil to cover his face if he's not in his armor. And so he is constantly trying to